Hey mamas, Tiffany Chanel here. I would like to make a shorts about this, but we're just gonna first start with the video, and you'll have to excuse how I look. 9 days without power is something, and I'm not gonna go into all those details, but I'll just say Houston had a hurricane. It was just a category 1, but for some reason everybody lost power, over 2 million people, and some people are still without power. Some people got power and then lost it again. We've been without power, without electricity for 9 days. During one of those days, we didn't have electricity nor water. And my hurricane prepared, I'm sorry, I'm shaking the phone. I'm so this is still fresh. As you can see, lights are on. My lights literally just came on, and I thought, as I'm washing sheets and washing things and washing towels, because I had to put towels down here because my freezer and refrigerator are leaking. This freezer, glory be to God, was full, nothing but meat, organic, grass-fed, grass-finished. What other kind of what do you call it? Wild caught. I still need to clean this some more. This was full of vegetables, some frozen and some that were fresh that I washed and cut up and gone. Things that were up here, gone. I'm gonna have to re-clean this. We tried to clean it, but when you're trying to clean stuff in the dark, you can't really see. My refrigerator has some stuff in it, but I can't use it. I'm gonna have to throw all the rest of the stuff away, but I had mold. I had mold on my fruits and produce and veggies, whatever. And I'm not the only one that's going through this. There's so many other people that in Houston and surrounding areas that have experienced this. But I wanted to make this video for you moms out there. It could be and dads, but I really want to talk to you single moms. I want to talk to you because you're going to have to gird yourself. You're going to have to really get your house in order unless you already have it in order. I thought I had some things in order. I did not. So now I'm changing up how I do things. Some very important things that I learned when dealing with a hurricane and the aftermath of a hurricane. If your fences are weak or old, they will likely fall. And you need to get your fences replaced. Now remember, if you're sharing a fence with your neighbors, they need to go in half on it with you, because you get the front side of the fence and they'll get the front side, and it goes back and forth. At least in this city it does. Another thing to keep in mind is that unless you have a generator that's powering your refrigerator and freezer, you will lose your food. After about day 2, day 3, you might have something on ice. After those first 3 days, you're gonna lose your food. That hurt me because I lost my food in May from a storm, and then lost my food again in July. And I just thought, wow. In May, I was at least able to save some of my frozen meat because my parents had electricity. We were staying with them. But my parents lost electricity just as long as we did. Their lights literally came on a couple of hours before ours came on. So making sure that you have a sturdy fence. And also, where is the emergency funds? And I call them miscellaneous household expenses, but you really need to have an emergency fund for when you're unable to work, but then you need a miscellaneous household expenses where you're taking care of things that might happen, like the fence down. If I didn't have a miscellaneous household expense account, I wouldn't be able to get the fence repaired. It's those kind of things. What else did I learn in this storm? Batteries and flashlights are not enough. Portable fans that are powered by a battery that you can charge are really helpful. My dad actually got myself, him, my mom, and my daughter that. Don't do that. Sorry, that's baby girl. Here she is. Another thing, and excuse the house, it's like living in the dark is different. Also, generators, get you one. Even if you only can afford to get a generator that powers your fridge and freezer, and you can at least buy some big fans that'll blow in your house. And if you have big fans that blow in your house, you can stay fairly cool. And then knowing that your food is staying fresh, you're not going to be out of a lot of money when you're trying to repurchase food again. Also, another thing that I found is, at least in this city as of lately, if there's a storm I'm going all over the place, but have some sort of igloo or something. This is my parents'. This is mine. I plan to purchase a larger one, because if I would have had a larger one, I could have likely put more of my meat and things in there and saved it by having ice, which is another thing. Having ice. The city ran out of ice at one point. The city ran out of gas at one point. This has just been survival mode. Literally, I do not ask people for anything. And I was about to go out of town because I had tickets, a flight, and I couldn't reschedule. I didn't have the option to do that. And my parents were here with my daughter, and I was in tears. I didn't want to leave them in this mess. We had been without electricity for, maybe 4-5 days before I went out of town. Came back, still no electricity, day 9. Sorry, this is still really fresh for me. I text my friends. I text people who I knew I could probably depend on to help. Like I said, I've never had to ask anybody for anything. I always just handle it. And that's another thing, especially I've noticed with single moms, like we just deal with stuff. We just handle stuff. And we got to learn when to ask for help. I had friends reach out to me and say, hey, my power just came back on. Your parents can stay here if they need to. They can bring Peyton. Our home is your home. I will never forget that. Those are my people. Y'all are my people, for real. I was in tears texting people saying, if my parents need a place to be, like with electricity, can you help them? And everybody I asked said, of course. And there were some people that I didn't even ask, and they offered, and I just thank God. Like, I thank God because I come from a very small family. It's just my 2 parents and me and my brother. I don't have the luxury of like having a bunch of sisters or brothers or family members that I can just be like, hey, can I depend on y'all? I just don't. So I'm grateful that I have friends who are family, you know. So we talked about fence. We talked about having a miscellaneous household expense, like an emergency fund, but it's not an emergency where you're not able to work. It's like household expenses where you're still working, but you have things that you typically don't pay for each month. It's like a non-monthly expense in your household. Getting the fence repaired would be one of them. So we talked about that. We talked about having an igloo, having coolers because the whole city ran out of coolers. We talked about having a generator. I think when you purchase a generator, because I was very ignorant with this, and Peyton's godmom had to explain things to me a little bit more in depth. You want to have a generator that's strong enough to power your entire house, right? Depending on the square foot of your home, you have to look up, how many watts do I need based on this square footage, and then Google will tell you that. Don't just get a propane generator. Don't just get a gasoline generator. Like I said, we were driving around looking for gas. It was hard to find gas, and people needed gas not because they were leaving the city. Yeah, that's part of it. But some people just needed gas because we were all going out to our cars, charging our phones. Even if you don't use your phone all day, the battery is still going to eventually die, and you need to have a means of communicating out to the world or checking the news and trying to find out, what's going on with the electricity. Just safety precautions. You got to have a phone. So people were charging their phones and probably their kids' devices to keep their kids busy in their cars. But to do that, you need gas. So the gasoline stations was running out of gas. There were lines going all the way down the street trying to get gas from the gasoline stations. And, I saw people going into stores looking for propane. The stores was out of propane, sold out. Of course, generators were sold out. And it's like, don't just buy a generator that only is powered by one or the other. Try to get a generator that's powered by everything, gasoline, propane, natural gas. I even plan on seeing if I can get a line connected to my generator to my home so that my home because my home is gas powered, not electric, can power the generator. We'll see. I've got to look into that. Also, when you get a generator, it has to be at least 20 or more feet away from your home. That's important too. So I have to get that checked out as well. And get a generator that detects carbon monoxide because your body can't detect it other than you dying. So generators can produce carbon monoxide, and you want to make sure that it's far away from your home so that you don't get poisoned and die. And hopefully your generator will detect it and maybe shut down if it's producing too much or whatever it is. Also have a carbon monoxide detector in your house. But the one we had in the house, the battery was being powered by the electricity. Once the electricity went out, the battery only lasted a couple of days. So we had to take that out of the outlet because it was making a bunch of beeping noises. What else? What else is important? We talked about the portable fans, the ones that are powered by a battery, but you can recharge the battery. Some of the grocery stores have outlets where they're letting people power their devices, their phones and stuff, which was really helpful because you don't have to use your gas to power your device. What was another important thing that I learned here? Don't have a refrigerator and a freezer full of food if you don't have a backup plan to power it when a storm happens. Oh, hotels. It was a struggle getting a hotel booked. FEMA didn't come through till day 7 of people not having power and was like, oh, you can apply for FEMA assistance for lodging. Well, the hotels is already booked. Then when you go to a hotel, they might tell you, we're not accepting FEMA. So now FEMA's supposed to pay for your stay, but you can't even stay there because they're not accepting FEMA. I ended up having to come out of pocket. We went to several hotels. They were either closed, shut down because they didn't have power, or they were all booked. When I came back home on while I was gone, I applied for FEMA for me and helped my parents get their application in. I also was able to call the hotel. Don't book through Expedia. People did that and the hotel said, sorry, We're not taking any bookings from third parties. You have to book directly with us. And if you want your money back, you got to contact the third party like Expedia. Book directly with the hotel so you know when you book, you actually get what you paid for and you don't have to stress about losing out on your money and not having a place to stay. Finally, the hotel had a room available. So when we went there today, they said they didn't accept FEMA, so I had to come out of pocket. But I booked the hotel for a couple of days because I got to go back to work. Duty calls, and we thank God for a job because, hey, the job is blessing us to be able to afford to live and have the things that we need. So I'm like, I can't take any chances with this. I'm going to book the hotel. Now, I booked the hotel before my parents' power came back on, because like I said, I was out of town when I booked it. I was waiting on my flight to come back into town when I booked it. And I still decided, even though our power came back on after I went in and checked into the hotel, I still decided to keep the hotel for a couple of days because people have been saying that their power came back on, but then saying that now it's back off. So I was like, let me just keep the hotel for a couple of days. And so lesson I learned in that is when there's a storm and your power goes out, book a hotel. Even if you only book it for 2 days, the hotels will say, well, if you don't stay all 2 days, you only get charged for the day you stay. So maybe you only stay that day, y'all don't have any electricity, and you get your money back for the rest of the days, but book a hotel at least for a week. Go on and get it booked. You're only gonna pay once you get there if you stay all those days you book it for. Book it, because if you wait after 3 days like everybody else did, hotels are gone. They're booked up. And you sit in the heat. Some people might want to purchase an ice maker. If you have a generator that powers your refrigerator and your freezer, you don't really need it because your freezer is making ice anyway. But some people might want to purchase an ice maker. Make ice. If something happens to your generator, at least you have some extra ice on hand just in case. You know, these are all the things that I've now thought about, considered. I'm probably not going to purchase an ice maker, but everything else that I've said, I'm in the process of getting those things taken care of. Because especially being a single mom, as a single mother, you're a female out here trying to do, all this protector provider stuff. So when you know that, you got to be smarter than that. And I thank God, one of Peyton's godmoms had been told me, Tiff, you need a generator, you need to do that, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, okay, girl, But this has happened to me too many times and too close together. And now it's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. There won't be a third. So I'm hoping that this video, although it was all over the place and very passionate driven, I just want to encourage you out there, especially single mothers. If you don't have your house in order, get it in order for disasters. These disaster emergency kits, the things that they tell you to have, they're good. Like we had the basics. We had, non-perishable food. We had the toilet paper, the paper towels, the water, the batteries, the flashlights, the can. We had all these things. But none of that stuff really, how long are you really going to eat tuna out of a can? You can't mix any mayo in it or any mustard or anything in it because you got to keep that stuff fresh. Are you really going to eat tuna out of a can plain with, maybe seasoning, whatever it is, for 9 days? No. So your non-perishable foods are good. It's good to have because just in case. But you got to have some more stuff in your tool belt, in your toolkit. You got to have some more. I'm not even gonna lie. We just came from someone else's house, washing and drying and folding our clothes because we needed help. So Thank God for our village of people who genuinely love and care for us. I am so grateful. I mean, even some people that got their power on reached out and was like, hey, my power is back on. Do you need anything? I'm so grateful. But I'm telling you, moms, especially single moms where you having to do it and figure it out, y'all need to get these things to make, especially those of us living in Texas where we know we deal with hurricanes and things like that. And especially Houston, because right now Center Point is something not right. It's something is not right for people to be without power for more than 8-9 days. That's crazy to me. That's absolutely crazy to me. I'm just waiting on if there's a class action lawsuit we can enter, because that was a mess. But I will say this, make sure you have an emergency. I'm going to try to repeat myself and wrap this up. Make sure you have some sort of miscellaneous household expense account, separate from just your emergency account when you're not able to work and that emergency account pays all your bills. Have a separate account for miscellaneous household expenses that are not monthly expenses, such as having to get a fence repaired, things like that, in the case of a storm. Or even having to go out and purchase a little extra because a storm is coming and you're trying to get prepared. Already have a generator purchased, and make sure that generator can be powered by multiple ways of being powered, so that you're not sitting at a gas station waiting on gas in a long line, struggling to power your home, or going to stores and they're out of propane, things like that. Make sure you have an igloo or some type of cooler that can keep your ice cold, so in case you have medication or food that you're trying to keep cool, you can do that. Even just keeping your water cool is important, because it's hot in the house, and so you need something cool. Every now and then, if you're still feeling hot and just out of it, go to your car, cool off in your car. But that generator is really going to help, because then you can buy big fans that can cool a room, and then let the generator power the fan, so you can save a lot of your energy without having to power the AC in your home. Now, if you're one of those people that want to spend between $10,000 and $20,000 on a Generac, hey, how you doing? Good for you. But I'm not doing that. My budget's not doing that. So I'm trying to give you tips that's going to help you be better prepared in the case of emergency. That's not just like, oh, make sure you have, flashlights and batteries, and, you need that, but have more than that. Portable fans that are powered by batteries that can be charged. So you can charge the fan in the wall, but it charges the battery and keeps the battery going. Portable fans that you and your kids can carry around to stay cool around the house. What else am I missing? I think that's it, y'all. This is a long video. I'm sorry about that, but this has been a long situation. I'm just grateful that God is still faithful. He still sits high and he looks low, and he knows everything, and he takes care of everyone. And I love you. Until next time.